just setting up for Asia here, looking at structure. We have what looks like a bounce down here. On one of my accounts, I got an entry somewhere down here. Where is it? 32, 28, 32. So looking at the structure, we just had a good day yesterday in Asia, and then today in New York, or this afternoon. Was kind of expecting, we were looking for this push down. We've hit the same resistance now 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So don't expect it to hold for too many more days, but probably some balance in the day trade. We probably we trade back up a bit today. Maybe we see 500 in Asia. It's kind of the expectation. Looking for a push up. Did open with the gap, so looking for the market to give us some real support for direction. We started kind of chip away at the gap. Haven't closed it. Not too significant a gap, but we also just had some news come out on the situation in Iran. So oil pushed up in the afternoon while everything else kind of pushed down, and we obviously gapped down. So the focus of what I'm going to cover tonight is with live market price action, how to get entries in different types of market conditions. So right now we're at we're in first gear, snail pace. So I don't really have a lot of movement to talk about, but we'll get going here in the next probably 30 minutes to an hour, and should give us an idea to talk about entries. So the purpose of this really is to look at if we're trending up, if we're chopping, or if we're trending down, where are good places to get entries based on what the price action we're seeing, the levels that we trade with, and then we'll bring into volume as well, because it will matter. All right. So now we just wait. We will take some trades on this is a paper account. We'll take some trades on. We had a $10,000, $12,000 day on it yesterday. So we are pushing out of this range. We obviously wicked through it on the opening. We came above it. We held both off the bottom of that range, and then call it 360. So if we start to see, continuation from this move up, forget the gap. Imagine this continues trading. Do we hold and keep pushing up? And if so we set a couple more highs here, and we look at 420 is kind of an area of interest where we consolidated into the end of the day before the end of the trading day before the open. So we'll see what we get here if we get continuation. So I would be looking for. I am thinking we're going to see some recovery. So maybe short-term bias long, longer to medium-term bias short, because I've repeated this many times, but I do expect us to trade back down to the previous all-time highs, because we've not. There is a distinct gap in. There's a distinct gap in the volume between where we had the previous all-time highs, around 26,000, and where we're trading now. So if I hide drawings, you can see there's a significant amount of volume that we have not traded in between the two. So we'll probably, if we fail off of this level, we could see a pushback down, and then change in market structure to give us a rollover to kind of come find support, and maybe we see tap down here and we trade between these ranges for a couple months. But on the short term, we're looking at push up here, probably minimally close the gap, but I don't think we'll reject off this gap. I think we'll probably continue up, and maybe we see maybe we see 500. Maybe we have a similar curl that happens here. So first target of interest is probably close to 420 or 415, 420. That's when the close of the gap, and that's just where we were consolidating last time, starting to look like we were starting to roll, and then we obviously had that drop. So we're getting a little bit of movement up, really light volume right now in Asia. This could be an entry position at a couple of these places. So a lot of times, if I'm seeing a directional move, like we're starting to trend a little bit in the last kind of 30 minutes, we're obviously trending up. We set the low, we made a new high, we had a pivot, we had a higher low, we've now made a higher high, and so we're trending up, at least ever so slightly trending up. So there's a couple areas based on where we are, and we have some higher volume candles to the left here that we have to trade back through. So this didn't really act as support with the open down here, but still meaningful relative volume. This was the open, so the 355 to 4 o'clock candle, we had pretty good volume. So still looking to build the case for a long, and entries probably, we could set an equal low down here on kind of the opening print right at the top there. That would be one idea. Stops come down here and your profits come up here. So it's a almost 1 to 4 for that type position. You could right now that's the only position I would look at taking. If we set another high and we hold here, then I would probably be looking for, this could be another option. I want to see another low be set really before I take an entry, even that extra, can I call it 10 points? I don't want to just get in because it's showing me, some push up. The opening candle had, let's see, I'm not seeing volume here. Turn on volume. So this opening candle had, 1,500 contracts. We're a third of that on the push up, and some pretty small volume. It's Asia's not going to be big volume, but kind of something we'll look at as well. In the price action through the day as this updates, and we had highest volume down here. We're kind of that take profit would be at the first point of interest, where we've also had a little bit of spike in volume, and then we have some other gaps we probably want to trade through, where we've just had either low volume because of support or resistance, or we've just traded through with kind of velocity. So it hasn't been a lot of volume traded in between the two. So now we wait and see if we get a pullback to 380, if we get a pullback to maybe 375 for this entry. Sometimes it will only retest the wicks. I usually try and get in on the bodies. Sometimes it only retests the wicks or it trades slightly through it. But yeah, somewhere down here would be probably a good entry for a long if you believe that it's still going to go long, and it's manageable from a risk standpoint for a fairly good expectancy. So probably missed the first, this first move. That's 35 points, right? So we've missed the first kind of 30 or 40 points, but not to worry. We've got plenty of time to make it up. I think that's a big thing too. If you miss it and you decided to hop in somewhere else here for a long, your risk probably still needs to stay down here somewhere, maybe beneath here. Maybe that's, I guess technically you'd want to put it down here, but if it's wrong, it's going to be wrong right around here. But if you said, hey, I'm seeing this move up, I'm going to take the break here. I'm already probably taking some heat on this position. if you were to take along here and have a similar target, you're looking at not even 1-to-1, maybe 1-to-1 right here, and you're starting to take some heat. So I'm always looking for like the balance and pullback. So this, maybe we hold here, maybe we see the bodies of these, maybe we're a little bit more aggressive on the entry. No, I might have just missed it, but no, let's see. My entry was right here, right? So we'll see if we get down here. Maybe missed it. That's a good pullback for continuation. We just want to see the body really staying out of this range, closing out of this range. It's got 2 minutes left. Would be fantastic. A big wick down here to pick us up would also be fantastic. We trade back down into here to kind of call it 368. That we could pick up another contract down here with similar risk parameters, like same area. So it's another idea. Maybe we can get a second entry. Well, hopefully we get a first entry, but if we can get one, maybe we can get a second one. If this closes, equal or above, we might see another pullback candle. Usually you see kind of a bull flag, you're going to see more than 2 candles do that, but in Asia sometimes you have less volume, so it doesn't take quite as much to move the market. So miss that entry. We'll see what the next minute and a half gives us on this candle. And if the body closes up here, and let's see, make this a little bit smaller. If we get close up here anywhere above this box, then we could take an entry again, where our risk is going to stay down here until we have a little bit more confirmation. As we get another low here, then we can take an entry and we can put our risk, we can start to move our risk up, where if this is going to pivot or set a new low. Right now our pivot low is right here at 63. And to define that, for me, the pivots are essentially when we've set a low, we set a high, and then we set this was the reversal of that trend. We had a low, a high, higher low, and that pivot with both a push up to make new highs, and then a push down to, in this case, not make new lows. And then the next pivot is really kind of up here, where we pivoted around it. So we then pivoted down. We technically made still a higher low. So if you're worried about that, we still made a higher low. And then we made in this shorter push, we have a higher high than this high, a higher low. We've already made a higher high. So as long as we don't make a lower low, then this trend should still hold. And the trick is just to buy as close to the previous lower low as you can. Sometimes it doesn't happen in single candles. I'll give you an example. When you might overshoot, you're saying my pivot was here, we didn't take that out. My next pivot was here, we didn't take that out. This was maybe an exception this morning, where we were still trending down. We set a pivot. We came back, didn't take out that pivot. Looks like a pivot here, but just a bearish consolidation and then a continuation, because this pivot is still kind of inside the range of this other one. So while this is still a higher low, and then you're looking for a lower low, I say a lower high, and you're looking for a lower low, and you don't get it here, so you maybe get a bit nervous. You could look for entries still up to here, or you look for it to hold and push back off of this level, and that could be a W that's formed and push up. In this case, we chopped back around in the middle, just consolidated. I needed some more contracts probably, and then it pushed through it. I think we took some of these trades last night too, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not watching price exactly. Not sure if it triggered us in yet. We'll get back to it in a second. But then we set a kind of a pivot, brief hesitation, and then continue down. Set another pivot low the pivot high where we had a green and then red candle, still setting kind of lower highs, lower lows, lower high, lower lows, lower high, lower low, and then here we had a break of structure where this is technically still a lower low from here, but the lower pivots that we had here and here got invalidated, and when it invalidated that, you can see we got a pullback. We went through it, traded through it, set a new. It's like we set a higher high in the trend, and then we got a pullback, and then we pivoted out of it. But we didn't. It wasn't long lived. This green box is a daily level, so it's pretty close to where we tested, and then we created a higher low still, so still kind of upward trend. Looking for another pivot up here, didn't get it, and we made a lower low right here, and then we started to trend back down. We did retest almost 50% of this, and then obviously we came into the open and just great retest off the edge and then failed down. So let's see what happened here. Looks like we're going to keep going up. I think I missed this entry. I don't know how I missed that entry. Pretty sure. I think this is TradingView doing something goofy. I should be in this position. This happened yesterday too. So I'm going to cancel this one, and I'm going to put a long ahead on the bodies because I did get it stopped here, and then I moved it around, but it was in here. So I'm going to put it back here so we can just play this one out. Stops down here. So I'm in the position on this candle, and my take profit was consideration was here, and then maybe we actually see a push up to 450 or 500, but maybe a stretch to see if we break this or not. I mean, I would probably, when we get to this level at 415, I would probably look at the reaction at that level and maybe proactively kill the trade in profit. So maybe we say, hey, we target 41 points profit for 15 points of risk, and we'll just see what happens with this trade. Didn't get this other entry. I'm gonna delete it. Okay. Don't know why these brackets stayed, but TradingView is being silly. Looks like we're hitting a little bit of resistance. You can see it kind of the price pop up into it and then pop back down, and some of that's the spread right now. And let's see. I can at least see the spread here. So the spread's almost 2 points right now. The last traded price was here, and then now here. Now in between the spread, so someone's saying I want to buy it or sell it, and you could look at time and sales to show you what's going on. So as you get more volume, you get less of the spread, so prices trade a little bit more cleanly than kind of jumping around like that. Gold does this a lot in Asia, where you have these really big gaps like this, and in a live account, it's very hard to trade this because if you cannot market order into that without taking, starting with like $30 and $30 in the hole. So we'll see what what this looks like right now. We're in the money a little bit on that position, and it looks like I know some of the guys in the group always wonder why I get wicked into things like this. I'm just looking at this structure, and that way I don't have to buy it when it's taken the new high. I don't have to buy it anywhere up here and been in all this drawdown the whole time. And even if I'm wrong, I mean, I could move my stop into profit and just take a little bit each leg of the way if I wanted to. I prefer to kind of see this play out. This is probably about 50% of this gap here, and sometimes we see reaction to 50% of the gap, or 60%. So if imagine we gap down, we move down here, and do we retrace, that 62% golden pocket for a continuation? I don't think that's the case. At least I'm not trading under that the moment, but sometimes we do see a little bit of a hesitation at 50% of a gap, and we'll trade back down to pick up some more contracts. But we're going on to the assumption we're going to trade back up to close the gap minimally. And usually in Asia, if you trade away from the gap, you don't necessarily close it so quickly. But seeing that we've been selling off and then some recovery in the day, continuation of sell off, but still kind of respecting some higher lows here, I think we're again supports the thesis. Maybe we see 700 today, and we look at dailies a little bit differently, but do expect some push up in Asia to retrace some of this move down. Asia pretty much pushed down all day, but it's probably from when they were trading open market in Asia. Probably they were selling there. They were happy to buy it here and take their profit out if they kept positions open overnight for them. So the other thing we're going to check, we've got about 8 minutes we have 2 more candles into the 7 p.m. Eastern open. So we'll see a little bit more volatility coming at 7:30 and at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we're not setting new highs yet. Could be a little bit of consolidation, and if we're going to consolidate here for a little bit, which is totally fine if we're going to consolidate here for a little bit, then we'll look for if this is bullish consolidation or not. Do we trade through here a couple more times, trade down a little bit, still respect our levels, and then sometimes if it consolidates, we'll see a push down and then a push out of it for continuation. So we'll see what we get. I've got a small group here. Any questions on anything I've seen? You guys have seen tonight so far? Yeah, he just said no questions. He appreciated the time to go through the process. Oh, let me go look at the chat and see. Okay, so pivot. I might have covered pivots. So, and there's these support and resistance levels also give you an idea of pivots. Usually the pivot on the support and resistance level is kind of the midpoint. So you're looking at where you've had, and there's another video you can go watch later. Now I've done that once, where you've seen price trade down to and then away from, or into and then through, and then reject off of that level again. So those are the support and resistance kind of levels, and the pivot, the pivot level itself is probably somewhere in between. But then in a trending move, I don't know what these are called, but these are essentially when it's truly trending, you just start to see these higher lows, and like here's a low here, here's a new high here. It's over this one, just barely. And for me, the pivot it's really this move down. This is awful with the marker. I need to do a line, I guess. A path, okay. So when I'm looking at pivots in a trending market, I'm looking for a high that makes a low, and I look for a high with a pullback. So the pivots for me in this kind of trend will be a pullback, and we don't really get one here. So we keep trending up here. Don't really get one here, right? It's minor, but we didn't this is kind of a tight move up. So maybe that's a low, but it's not it's not beneath the last one. So we just kind of continue up. And then here is a pivot where we get an actual pullback where price traded back down below the candles that pushed up. So this would be the pivot. Maybe this is a pivot here. Going to push up, and this is a healthier. This is a healthier pullback. Sometimes you see this kind of a pullback, and it's now can make you a little bit nervous because we've overshot the other ones. But if you're going to get continuation on trend moves, usually you need deeper pullbacks. And so then you say, well, this pivot that I drew here, probably not a real pivot in this price action. This move was probably really from up here to up here, and then I traded back down. So you can't always just go you can't freak out about every candle. If you're trending, you want to hold with the trend. So I'm gonna have to. And again, this is a tightly bound. It's a fairly tight move up. Macro baby's got audio on or no suppression in the background. So that's kind of what I mean by these. They're not like, I use the words pivots ambiguously. Unfortunately, sorry about that. Sometimes it's like, is there a pivot level like this where price is trading up to it and off of it and off of it, and then when it trades through it, you might retest it once and then you're never going to see it again, right? It doesn't trade into that for a long time. And then magically when we get back into it, it traded through it briefly, back out of it, held at that level, traded away, refused to kind of trade and accept in this range. And then similarly, when we traded back through it, we retested it once, and then we have not traded back to it again. So these levels can be fairly significant, and then they will continue to show back up. So we could trade all the way back up to 600 and see if this time we want to accept in here and trade back through it, or we reject off of it and then continue down. So there's pivot levels like these are pivots, and then in a trending market you have those kind of pivots that I was drawing there. And I could go back and find some other period of time, say it's here, it's kind of choppy, right? So we can still do the same thing. So an equal low. Actually, I think we traded this together. I think this was the set kind of a lower low, had a higher high. Now we changed character, or changed in structure, breaker structure here. We've now set a lower low from this one. Then we failed to make a new high here. So then anywhere in here you could sell, and it just, now we get a trend reversal. So go down, lower high from here, lower low, obviously. Barely do it, but a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Equal, but close. I could be thinking we're going to start to trend out of it. The next thing we see is so this is a no trade. There's if you're in a trade here, you're starting to get nervous because it could reverse here because you've made a recent higher low. So you're probably starting to watch and say, well, if I trade above this price, if I trade above 577 in this case, I probably cut my trade. My stops probably come to here. Then we're not doing anything new in here. Like this is slop. New low. I've got a lower low here, so you could trade it, but you don't have a trend. Like the trend is kind of weak, and I think we continue, and then I think this trend does actually start to break down, right? So we've got this chop, this consolidation. So if you're in one, great. When it gets to start doing this, you might cut it, or you start tightening up your stops, right? Because you're not loving what you see. And here you're starting to see, okay, a new lower low, and then where is it? We've got a lower low, but just barely. I'm sorry, I don't have a lower low here. So once you start to see, But you see this, even this minor rotation, a push up and then a little pivot and then a slow grind up. That's a change in the trend. So if you continue that, you're like, well, now I'm starting to push up a little bit. So, and this is once you can identify these things, then you can kind of buy on any of these pullbacks for a push up. Let's see, it's kind of small. That might be a pivot. Yeah, if I make these a little bit taller, then maybe it's a little easier to see. And then the same thing happens, new high, little tiny pullback, a new high, pivot back down here, lower high, don't love it, up higher high, but then I think we see the next pivot's like down here, right? So now I see a break of this structure again. So if you're in a long, you cut it. If you're looking for a short, you might look for a retest here, or an equal high head and shoulders Batman pattern unfolding here. So now I've got a pivot here. I get a little bit unequal, and so I'm still trending down, right? You're kind of cautious here, but then you get the flush that goes through there. So some of these small. Okay. Go back to my real time and see what our position's doing. We are down here somewhere. It's not doing anything. It's just sitting still. So we got in here. We did print some consolidation. We printed a little bit lower. Let's see a push down. Yep. And so stops are down here. So we'll see if we made about an equal low here. Let's try another one. Yeah, we'll see if we get triggered into another one. Again, we've been able to manage the risk on this position. Like we've been in some profit for most of it. And if we're wrong, it's okay. You could see this is the same kind of trend here. We set a higher low in this recent trend. If we if this doesn't hold, then I can't. It's so small I can't tell. It's technically it's a little bit higher, right? Say it's just a hair higher. So is this the fake out from that consolidation to then let us see the push up, or are we gonna actually rolling back over here and gonna continue down? And so if you get stopped on this trade and you gave up $25 on a micro, or $50 or $100 on 2 or 3 micros, then you can also look at this position as a potential for a short. Right? So is this the level where it rolls over? And I wouldn't just take the reversal on that candle. I would just wait and see what happens. So we're close to our first entry here. Don't know if we're gonna get this one. Why is it leaving my brackets? That's so dumb. Okay, there they go. So let's see if we don't accept back into this range, we could kill this trade, right? If this price doesn't accept back into this consolidation we had drawn up before. All right, so we kind of set this as consolidation. We traded out of it. That's like a consolidation pullback, and then maybe we push through it. So we're trading back into the range. And I mean, again, you might have freaked out, right? Took that big push down. There was some volume, 360 contracts, like not that much volume. And then we're going to retest the top of this range again. If we break through it, then we look for a new high. And if it breaks through 400, then we'll look for support low. So two good options to get in. Two good options for for longs if you still believe we're going to close the gap. And low stress. Now we're back in profit at some points, not that many, but some. And we got a little bit of, not a ton of volume here. Let's see what we got, a little bit more. There we go. So trying to see more volume in the relative time frame. It's taking the volume thing a minute to update here. But yeah, frequently we'll see consolidation in a trending move. Delete some of these. When we see consolidation in a trending move, and then I'll get to the next question. Like this, see consolidation, and it kind of pushes back up. So sometimes it's harder to see on a 5-minute if it's going to take that many candles to make that move, but a lot of times you will see consolidation in a trend that overshoots and kind of makes a bit of a, so this would be a bull flag, right? Where we see consolidation, and then the highs are higher than you get. That's the pivot, the pullback, right? So you trade all the way up through. This is probably close to open. Yeah, it's close to an open. They're a bit extended, but the same concept. The price trading was accepting kind of in this range, and then you have a big push down to kind of sweep out some of the folks. And then the other thing this supports is you had a little consolidation and a break there. A lot of times you'll see the kind of 50% of that consolidation block be a point where you can get into a position in that direction if it's trending. Pretty sure why I drew that box, because I think this was a 50% retest of that consolidation for continuation there too. Okay, let me see if we got any more questions, and then we can kind of just watch this trade, see what it's doing. So we got a minute left in this candle. If this doesn't accept back into this range, we could kill the trade for 10 points or so, 8 points in profit. If we're worried about it, hopefully you're not taking this with such big size that you're actually nervous about it. But all right, so that was the first one. Pivots. Ever a situation where price retraces near to your desired entry but does not quite get there, and you're not convinced price has made its retracement is going in the direction you thought it would, that you would chase or FOMO? I mean, still human, but I don't use market orders to get into positions almost ever. So if I missed this entry the first time, I would either leave my entry here, or I would look for structure to support another entry. Like if my concept is it's a long, then I need a body above these bodies to give me confirmation that we're still going to go long. If I don't see that, then I'm not. In this case, if price had continued to, that's my entry. Let me lock that. If price had traded up here and then didn't get support, I wouldn't take one up here unless I saw this kind of structure where price traded up, pulled back, traded up, and that's kind of what this pullback entry was that I was looking for. So it looks like we might see a change. Might see a change down here for a short. Not short's not valid until we close beneath the bodies here, in my opinion, and then maybe we retest some of the candle. But not seen it yet. So here's an example of this move down after the open today. I did not get an entry. I tried to get in a couple times on pullbacks, and I was a little bit too conservative. This would have been a fantastic short right here. I was looking for a couple along the way. I think I ended up getting one. I'd have to go back and look and see where it was, but I did get one entry or a couple entries, and I think I got stopped out on a couple about break even. But yeah, it's like this would be an entry, and probably would have retest of this, a retested shot through it would have been probably not great. you know, if you're trying to, this is obviously still trending down. You could look at entries on the edge of this level with stops, you know, outside this level, or entries somewhere in the midpoint of this this 3-candle trade, like push back, you know, push back, go, right? So I try not to really chase it if it starts moving in a direction I'm looking for. Like on this turnaround, I think I got a position at 280 today. I think on the reversal, yeah. So it pushed up. We made an equal high here, and I put my entry kind of on the bodies down here of these two, which not perfect. Really, the entry was these, based on these two candles having a similar, the way this candle reacted, and then the similar equal bodies. I was looking for this for reversal. So really, the entry is kind of 50%, you know, of this price, right? So really, this would have been the perfect entry. But usually, if you see these, you're safe to take a trade with your stops below the body. And so I ended up seeing this next candle print, and then said, okay, where are we going to trade back into? And I got in on this wick, and then it traded all the way up here. I was like, oh, this is great. But I was targeting 400 and 445 for my targets, and so I got one entry here, I added an entry here, and then I added a third time when it came back through this level. So I held because my stop was still down here, and then it ran. I took one out at 400 first time through, and it didn't quite take 445. We pulled back, and then it hit 440 or 445. Yeah, 445. And then I held this one, and I got stopped out on this candle because I was trailing. I should have probably trailed this last pullback, but when this candle printed, I trailed this one, and I got stopped out here at about 500. So it was still a fantastic, good move, and we not even that bad from a rollover perspective. But all right, so let's see. Yeah, this position would have gotten stopped out. So that is a loser. The idea is not wrong. Maybe the entry for it isn't perfect, given we need some more structure, but this was a loser. So let's put some text in here. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Oops. You can't type text on something when it's locked. So now we just wait and see what we get from another entry. So we gave up $200 on $200 on that trade. Maybe the stop was a little too tight. Maybe it should have been beneath the bodies here for the same kind of concept for reversal. Or this trade might be invalid and we see a short play out, right? We're just going to wait and see. If we can stair step back into this range, then maybe we are seeing that bullish flag, right? It's not perfect, but the average price trading back down here and then not accepting, down here. So this might be a situation where can we get a another entry? What if this trades up through kind of 340 and the body can close above here with halfway decent volume? Then this level would be an idea for a push through and a retest of this level of support. It's resistance, and it's been resistance for the last 30 minutes. So if we can push through that, then our pivot is, our pivot's kind of right here at 395, maybe 395. And that's because we had, wick, all these wicks. So if price can trade back through this level, which I don't know, we could come back up to here and fail and then just keep going down. But if price can accept back in this range and then find a way through it, then yes, I might have missed this part of the move, but I could enter pretty easily with, I could take a long from here and set my stops at the level of consolidation and still target, still have the same target, and I've got a 1 to 2 risk to reward on this entry. So there's still room in here for this trade. But we'll just have to see what happens, right? So that's trade idea number 2. Nope. I see. I think there was one more question. So does it matter where the pivot happens? Not exactly. Like I think so in today's session we were looking at, or was it last night? We were looking at, oh, it was it was here. So one of the reasons we had 400 drawn up, it is a fair value gap. So could be the, if you follow that kind of strategy, this is a 5-minute fair value gap where you haven't traded to it, and I guess technically, that pullback sets your fair value gap about close to 400. But most of the time, the hourly levels, or the hundreds and the 50s play as kind of natural, like psychological pivots. So it doesn't really matter to me. I don't really, follow the ICT concepts. This does represent an imbalance, which is what ICT I think calls fair value gaps. But it doesn't necessarily. It doesn't really matter to me. My pivots are drawn on just wherever you've got support and resistance. So no, it's fine. Did it go? Yeah. So I mean, look. So you might say like, oh, just buy it now, right? And this is what I talk to the group a lot about is, this entry, maybe a little bit more room was that previous entry was fantastic, right? Somewhere down here, even adding down here with risk out here, so it's fine. So I missed it, right? I got stopped out, and then it totally went in my favor. Happens all the time to all of us. So this is kind of what we're looking for, but we needed to close. We got 40 seconds, and usually the last minute candle in the 5-minute candle, the first or second minute, and then like the close to the end, especially if it's directional, you'll see it kind of toward the tail end of the candle. So they don't like tell you what they're going to do. They kind of hide it until the last bit of the candle. But body's going to close above here. So now I'm going to look for a retest somewhere up here, and my stops. Put my stops down here, somewhere below the bottom of this consolidation. I mean, technically, should be down here at the last pivot, and doing that is not a realistic. That's not a trade you would take, right? So not the risk to reward. So if this continuation is going to be true, then I want to take it on this next pivot. Could look at the 50% level to give myself maybe a better entry, and stops, still beneath the consolidation range that we were in, broke out from, and then still targeting this as a take profit. And then we'll see what happens up here. So someone asked the question about like FOMO, like, well, man, that really sucks because I was in from here, and it would have been nice to be up, this 30. What's my entry down here? Can't remember now. I was looking at the bodies here, so it was probably at 73. So yeah, we got 20 point move in the right direction, and would I have taken 20 points of risk for that? I mean, I could have just moved my stop to be 1 to 2 or something like that. But let's see if we take let's take a couple positions here. If we can get them, we'll average into this. It's a common thing to do. So we'll average in, maybe we can get three positions and stops all going at the same place or thereabouts. Okay. And then take profits. It's too much overlay here. Okay. TradingView's acting up. I think there's already a stop loss on this one. Okay, I have two take profits. The third take profit up here somewhere. Maybe I'm too conservative with this entry. On that first one, it's right back, retested right to the top of this zone, that pivot. What did I say it was? 95? So 95 is probably the right entry. But we might just give it a minute and be patient and see. Do we... Now, I swear to God, I just did this again, where it wicked through that level, and it did not open... Thank you. It's really strange. Yeah, it was doing that to me yesterday. So, got into one of those positions, and this would be invalid down here. So they're I don't exactly know, 1 to 2, 1 to 3. I'm trying to average into this position, this long position. So, but I can play it out now with a couple of these positions to give me an average kind of somewhere in between here. So same concept. So we're just looking for this to act as some support. We could see again that was a nice move up from. That was a great move up. So, we could see a pullback all the way down here. That's kind of why we don't want to give this a little room to breathe. Yeah, I don't follow fibs like religiously, but same kind of concept, and it's coincides with the levels that we have drawn up. Come on. I swear, TradingView is acting up here. Let me just. It could be. I think something's going on with the. Something's going on with the paper trading account right now. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not in that move, right? So yeah, the hundreds and the 50s act as pretty significant levels, like psychologically, and then you'll see trade around it a lot. So if this is the push up, this is a nice bear flag, right? We start down here, we trade up, we trade back down, like good pullback, healthy pullback, and then continuation. Which to get a bigger move, you have to get a deeper pullback generally for balance. And so we got a pretty good pullback here on this push up. Maybe we retest in here, and maybe we see this kind of entry be triggered in. Maybe not. I don't know. And then it could go, and we'll just get through the gap. There's low volume, and there's not 400s in here. I guess that traded up to 405s, but 400's the only thing we need to really contend with in this level to potentially see continuation up. So now we just wait. See if we get another entry. And if we get another push up, then we could look for, we could look for another entry if it retests this level again. Or we set a significantly higher high on this next one. Usually the bodies where price accepted before, and when there's a gap, usually that's where you see good entries, or you have a balance. So, really the last one could be down here if we get lucky. I'll just move this out of the way. Thinks I'd probably lost this trade. But we're like very ever so slowly trending up. So we could have another deep pullback. They don't usually happen back to back. Like this isn't 7:10. This is an hour apart. Slower volume times like Asia, and 3 minutes till the next. So if we want to inspect some of what's going on inside the 5-minute candles, we can go look at the 1-minute candles and see what's happening here. So pushed up, we are curling again on the 1 minute. So what do we do with the last? So the 3rd minute, 2nd minute candle. That's so 25. Looks like we were pushing up. Curl down, push, and then probably not this candle. Maybe the next one or the one after maybe sets a new high. If you want to see the kind of innards of what these, just a big block green candle, that one kind of moved in those 3 1-minute increments, not much movement. Then kind of the real move happened there, and then continue to push down off of, still holding below 400 right now. Tested right off of 400. So we've technically accepted above it, but we are not seeing continuation yet. So maybe we see a little bit more of a push down before we get a push up, and we've got two more candles to go. One here, I guess, one more candle to go. This one, and then one more, and then the next candle will probably be like the sneaky one, where they wait till the close of this candle to do something goofy. So on the 5-minute, looks good. Would have expected a little bit more, like they were holding above the wicks on the 5-minute, but I was kind of expecting a second pullback a little bit deeper. So you can take the, I talk to the group frequently about multiple entries, kind of scaling into a position. It's hard to do if you're only trading like 1 micro. Then you're probably, more conservative and taking, probably only looking to take this midpoint entry, maybe on the bodies here. To be able to average into a position's nice. So okay, we see a push. Maybe we take this level out, or maybe we get the 3rd entry, and then see if we get a push up. So, but if you're chasing it, like if you were chasing this green candle up, like anywhere up here, you're in drawdown, right? Like if you got in anywhere up here, if you didn't get tapped in the first time you saw this wick, you could say, well, are we gonna test it again? So you had a couple chances to get into this first position, and haven't had a chance really to get into this the safer one. It's not technically safer; it's just lower risk. It's not safer yet with structure, but this is what the market's showing us right now. This still looks like a curl, push up, a curl, and so they just wanted to wait until the next candle to do it. Yeah, and for most prop firms, this, we gave up 200 on the first one, maybe 300. So we're about back to break even, and we've taken almost no heat on this. So you could kill this position for break even and then just look for another entry if you don't want to hold it. Like if looking at drawdown numbers bothers you, you could say, well, this I just want to get back to, I need $200 or $150 a day, and that's as far as I need to go. And maybe, if I've lost 250, once I see 250 here or 300, I close it, and then I look for another deeper entry, because this is again looking very similar to a push up and some consolidation. Maybe on the 1 minute you could say, is this an M forming here? Am I nervous about this? Oh, that's not a drawing tool. Is it an M on the 1 minute? So am I going to see a trade down to here? Why am I not getting picked up on these entries? This is really strange. I should have just gotten the second entry. I guess it doesn't like these entries. Failed to modify. Something went wrong. Give it a moment. Yeah, it's. So we'll see. I still have the. This is the. Now we're in. Now we're technically in. Look, and maybe we got would have gotten the third one in there too. No, I didn't quite hit it. So we should have 2 entries in. Maybe the M does play out, but we're back into this kind of midpoint of consolidation. Really slow moving. We got 7:30, so it was the open. The open for one of the other Asia markets probably just popped, so a little bit more volume. 300 contracts, not. Okay, that just picked up my second second entry. I'm getting much better price entries because it's trading well below my limits, but so this is, to me, it's just, we had a pullback, so I'm not super stressed about it. We did make a new high, albeit marginally new high. All right, so that price decided that was the. So now it's averaged my entry into the same place, right? And so I'm now taking. I keep hearing the thing ring in my background, but got the same risk on those 3 positions. So $88 on 3 micros, and 240, call it 246 in terms of profit if we go up there, or call it $210, right? So 88 for 210. So a little bit better than 1 to 2, or 2 to 1, I guess you could say. And I don't think we'll see the same level of pullback that we did here. That would be a bit extreme, but could happen. We'll see if do we get a push through this, or we're going to take 2 what should be profitable trades as losing trades because we've been kind of tight on the risk. But we also need to see it. It hasn't really broken out and started trending cleanly yet. Look at this nonsense. Oh, that's actually probably an entry location. It should have taken me out there. If it ever decides to make up its mind. Yeah, it's all right. I'm gonna give it some more risk. now it says it's good. So two losers on that. Starting out, it's still ringing in my ears. So it's 2 losers on the right setups. It happens. I look for, we'll look for continuation probably before we take another setup. See if this is gonna fail and come back down. Is it a measured pullback? Are we gonna see that kind of a measured pullback from here to here? And or are we gonna see it roll over? It doesn't give me doesn't give me much confirmation for it to roll over. One, we haven't closed the gap where we might gap in and reject off the gap, and then two, we haven't really broken the trend. So just deeper pullbacks than I was maybe willing to give those positions, and sometimes that is what has to, you have to suffer through maybe more drawdown and you take smaller size. So again, on 3 micros, it's not a lot of dollars, and you potentially could cut it break even if you're just trying to kind of dig back out of the hole and not look for an elongated move. So we'll see. We also, I think the M played out on the 1 minute if you were peeking at it. So, and I'm back down here. Don't usually see them show up when you get a bounce into them like that. Usually they happen more when price is trading down from beneath and trades up into an M, then you see it trade back down. So it's a little bit odd that it traded this way from down here, but we'll see if it decides to significantly roll over, and then we might look for some shorts. I don't love the short setup on this. We would need to see it start trending and then break away and retest, but the structure is not great for a short. Not for a safe short entry, I should say. We need to see it break down and get beneath this low, and then we might look for, do we truly fail, and maybe do we want to sweep, the low in New York? Do we want to just come down here and sweep? So I think someone asked about sweeps too, and yes, if we want to trade down and sweep New York's low to pick up contracts, because there's liquidity. There are people that have that bought somewhere anywhere in here and have put their stops down here, and sometimes if the market's short on volume, it might trade to go find volume, right? So stops beneath here, or all the way down to sweep this, and then usually if you get a sweep like that, you'll see a pivot around, because that's really manipulation of the market trying to just go take some people's money. They don't intend to carry it down there because it's not accepting in this range. So that's how you can take some safe, some limited risk options, limited risk entries. It's unfortunate that none of them have played out, but that's how you take them, so you can limit your downside risk. Yep. We haven't made a new low. Whether that's a low or that's a low and that's a low, we haven't made a new one. So curious to see if do we come back down? Do we come back down here? But it's good that we cut those other positions when they went against us. We knew our risk going into it, and we cut them, so we didn't take a massive loss, right? Because we could have taken, if we had no stop loss there, what could have been a pullback that then rolled over could have been a significant loss, right? If we were just holding that position the whole time. So it's always important to kind of know where your risk is going to be, and then like enforce your stop loss. Like don't move it if you know where your risk was going to be. You took your loss, might have had a good, didn't quite get my target, so probably still holding, and then comes back against you. So it's another important thing. Let's see if we fail down here. Yeah, we'll see if it pivots around. Nothing's this line's not real. It's just a drawing of wicks, but no reason to get along here. you'd be potentially catching a knife on the way down. So nothing there. And I mean, this is it. Maybe a little bit forceful on some trades on this way up. I did get an entry. To get a good entry, I'm probably going to close it on my other account really quick and give it a minute to see if how this candle pans out. But I'm going to probably start trailing my stop on that one. The other thing, it's like, don't have to be in a trade all the time, right? I know that it's I don't have to take any for recording. Just talk about, these are all like setup ideas, and you kind of start to rate them a bit as you use them and over time, and like everyone's entries are a little bit different and what they feel comfortable getting into or not. But this is just where I look for. We're not exactly trending here, but it's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of where I would get in. And then if I was thinking long and I got in here, then I had to take this heat before I got any value. And if I'm only looking for 20 points, then maybe that's okay. So your trading style might be sufficient for it. But I'm always looking for entries that are going to give me pullback against structure. So this short, like this push down here with maybe a retest of this body for a short could be one. If we see this push down and continue down, if we clear this level, or we clear this level, then maybe it's an idea to take a short position, right? Like go with the trend. So this was a trend down and we bounced, pretty good off of that. And so we'll see if we get maybe a short setup plays out, and targets could be that you want to sweep here or you want to sweep here, and maybe we test down to 200. It's wouldn't be crazy to see on the daily for an open and a push down, but I don't love the shorts down here. The shorts have made a lot of money in the last 2 days, 3 days, from here, then from here. So not outrageous daily moves. What is this? 400, 500 points. So it's not crazy. But let's see if we get any structure. We need about 15 more minutes for the next kind of bump. We should see a little liquidity at 7:45 Eastern, a little volume, and then we'll see another bump close to like 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. So we'll see if the market wants to give us any, tell us any stories with what they're going to do. And I generally trade on the 1 hour and I kind of look at the 1 hour structure, the daily, and then really trading on the 5 minutes. So it didn't seem to break. I don't know how people draw, if they draw them wicks or bodies, but haven't really broken that yet. So right now we don't have a confirmation for either, right? A short or a long. So again, it's totally fine to sit here and not be in a trade. Let's see if we got any other questions in that. Nope. So here's a break with a body beneath, recent structure, and then a bit of a retest into it, which we can see if this gives us an idea of a pivot. If we see a lower low, then we might want to look for some continuation. And I'm not trying to be like the first one to the party either. So yeah, you wait and see, who shows up, what's the vibe feel like,
of the band is good or not, if the drinks are, if they're pouring, you know. Yeah, you wait for the energy. So normally we're not taking an entry right as the market opens up either. It's a little bit abnormal. Some days we do, and then it just trends in a direction, and it could, but we've got a lot to get through. I don't know if you can see it, but this could be that we have an elongated, like, higher time frame, you know, bearish pennant here too. So I don't use these significantly to trade off of, but you know, a lot of people do, and they work for people. Some people have their strategies where you draw, you know, a line like this, either off the bodies or off the wicks, maybe harder off the wicks, but you draw something like that, and then you see this breakthrough, and then you look for a break and retest, and that's what that means when people say that. You're looking for that, push through it to some level, retest that line, and then continue. And it's a similar thing that I look for with these kind of these pivot levels, is, you know, trade into it, reject off of it, retest close to the level, and then you get continuation. Similar thing here. You know, we trade into it, away from it, right? And I think this is kind of one move, which is kind of absurd, but one move, and then, you know, I think we did this back into it for then the extended move. And I'm going to have a lot of stuff to delete after this video. But let's see what we get here. Hourly's holding the same way. So nothing to do here. I don't even know where this long position was. All right, I think I got most of it out of here. $280 was the 280 is the midpoint of the pivot that it respected. I mean, overshot it a little bit, but then it held at 280. 280 was my entry, my long entry. You can you can you can you can take a trade stop loss. It's just, well, that's why you well, that's what the market does. The market's gonna yeah. So what I'm recording a session on where to take entries, like, and they've not panned out, but the entries are at least, like, safe with the risk perspective. So if we sweep this low, then we're now trending with no pullbacks, essentially. But if we can sweep this low, then we can start looking at some downside targets, and then we can look at, we'll let the structure of the candles tell us where it's safe to get in and where we can safely manage our risk. So yes, if you just sell anywhere, like, where do you put your stop loss that's safe? I mean, the only place I have that's safe right now, and that safe is relative, but where I could manage my expected risk would be if I were to sell a position here and put my stops back into this pivot level. Then, looking for resistance to, looking for that resistance and support from here to maybe hold, right? So maybe I say it's here. I don't want to see it trade back up to 376, and maybe my entries at the 50s, and I target a sweep of these lows. So that that could be a position. We'll see if we get a candle to pull. Like, I want to see it sweep this low again. If it doesn't sweep that low, then I might take an entry. I might take another long entry here, which sounds crazy, but I might take one looking at this. Come on. All right, so I might take an entry long where I can manage my risk here. All right, so maybe I look for a sweep, or if we turn around here, I might take that long entry again. But maybe we look for a sweep and have it not take these lows out again, but a sweep of this level, and then we still target the gap. So we've got two trade ideas here. Could go short. We see the structure. Could go long, and it's not going to take this immediately. Either one of these. We're going to wait and see what we do here, because if it comes down here and sweeps it, and then we see a reversal candle, then we can take the long entry off the reversal candle. We don't have to take it the first time it comes down, because it could come down here, retest this, and hold, and then fail. All right, we could see this come down. It just swept it, retest, and then continue down. So that's again kind of an idea for a short, and we don't have to give it a lot of risk. So it's just taking this out. Barely swept that level. So and do we see any of this act as support, or is it going to flush through it? Oh, this level's right at 300. Yeah, they've not wanted to trade beneath it. 300 basically is the. Yep. So 300 is one idea, right? We could look at 300 is one idea, and if we're at 300, stops down here, reversal, see what the bodies do in these candles if it's a reversal, or see if we get a trade back up here for that kind of break and retest, right? We've got some confirmation. We swept this low, not by a lot, but a little bit. So we could look for, maybe we look for a short. We need probably one or two more candles to kind of, from where, from 400. Okay. Oh, on the break of 350, and then the retest of it. Yep. Yeah, I took two positions, one long on this pullback, and then went in the favor, but then stopped out. Stopped out, or my entry was at 374, I think, and then took a stop, and then another entry when it at the break. Did not rehold. I stacked some entries in and did not hold the support up here. So that rollover, that fail was probably good from here with this retest for a short. But see what we get in the next couple minutes and see if we, next area of interest is kind of 300. Do we hold there and reverse back up, or do we fail through it? And if we fail through it, then we go look at the hourly to kind of give us ideas of where we might trade into. So I think we could see trade below 300 on hold. We could see a push down to sweep the New York lows, and maybe we continue down. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So we could look at long ideas probably off the table unless we see a big push up. If we can close above 300 and start to push up, but otherwise I think someone asked earlier about the, if you feel like you've missed on a trade, where do you get in? And now we see we've got direction kind of set. So now we're just looking for a pullback that we can get in on. We have no green candles, like we have, no structure. If we look to the left, we've got, an option here at 306, maybe, right? 306, 310 as an area that we could look at with, stops above maybe 325, where we had the wick down off the open, right? So this is where we've had some resistance before. So maybe we look for a short, see what the candle tells us. Yeah. So right back to the Asia Open right there. Was that the short entry? And even if that was a great entry, even if we missed it, then we can see what this gives us next to get into. Right? We don't have to catch the whole thing. Well, that's good. So we're approaching the previous one of the previous lows. We just swept it. Let's see if we're gonna keep going down. We haven't swept the New York low, which, given the direction that we're moving in, we probably will. So if we can get a close, if we can close in this range with a body in here, then we could take a position off the edge of it with minimal risk as an idea, and then we look for.
Yep. So let's see. Let's try and sell three. Let's try and sell off 300. See if we get entered on 300 or 30, like 305. See if they're gonna go sweep it. Okay. I swear I put an entry in here. And that's not. I don't know what's going on. I'll just use the long and the short. This little indicator is. So we're looking for the bodies here, the hold here as the next possible entry. Because we got the wick of the open to reject it off of. So okay, so we got okay. Should have been entered there. Look at this. This just showed up. And now we're gonna reverse off of this level. We're just gonna push like it entered the position, I don't know when, and then we just traded back into the Asia range on this. This is a reversal candle. This is nonsense. It's so delayed I can't even use it. So we had this same thing play out. We had the same thing at the low here, and so we'll, maybe a trade back up, and then we look for an entry close to the body here. No, this is going to go up. So yeah, it might. So we should get a pullback off of this. This is so dumb. We should get a pullback, and let's say we get a pullback to maybe the 50% of those two candle bodies, and then stops just beneath it, and then we could still target the gap. I don't know what's going on here. It's just so dumb. So we just got a sweep. We didn't get a full sweep. We just got a sweep of the recent. Yeah, I mean, it bounced right off the bottom of this range. Did not reject it off of it. So there's actually another. If it fails here, we could see it continue down.
swear my I keep getting muted on my recording. I'm not sure why. This might make for an interesting recording if you can't come back later and figure out what I was saying. But we've got, H just kind of set its direction for the moment. It's megaphoning. It hasn't really accepted above the push up in the afternoon yet. That would be great confluence for more continuation. But as it stands, that was a good pullback to get in on, and we have a defined risk on it. What are you guys doing? Bailey. Bailey. Can you make Dylan? What? Okay. I didn't hear you. Dylan, are you hungry, Bubba? I have to order them if I'm going to get wings. I don't have any here. Stop, Dylan. She's sleeping. No, we're not going to eat out every night. So we did test against this kind of resistance band. We still haven't printed a body above this level, which I want to see. Hey. What are you doing, Dylan? Can you stop running around? Nah, you're good. Good. We're gonna might see one more pullback to like 430 before we push through it, but we can close above there, then we might take out this might take out this 470. And so we lost on a couple trades on this. We lost 20 points a couple times, maybe 25 points, and then take a 70 point winner. And Asia likes to pick a direction and go, so we could trade all the way back up to 535, 575 maybe.
the previous gap low. But minimally, we'll see if this trade plays out. That was a winner. It was a good entry, not a lot of heat, and then 70 points for 15 or 25 points, 27 points of risk. And we could obviously now we could trail our stop up here, move our take profit up, to the next level of interest. Maybe it's the bottom of this consolidation. So we're about to pop up and just take this out. We'll call this straight a winner. This long entry was a winner, and it was after a good portion of the move. So you can see even if you didn't guess the bottom and take that entry, there was still a place to get an entry and still take a large portion of this move. And with some more volume, I mean the early trades before some of the markets had opened didn't have a lot of volume, which is not as safe to trade, but this one played out pretty well. I'll call that one a winner. Not going to be upset over a couple ticks at the end there, but I'm going to say that's a winner and lock this one up. It's a 2-hour recording of how not to do things a little bit, and then how to take at least one good entry. But I didn't get really chopped up that much. I didn't take a bunch of entries. Just knew what the risk was and